Hey, welcome back to Crimes and Closets. This is Christy in my closet in St. Louis.
And this is Beth in my closet in North Carolina.
Hi, Beth.
Hi, Christy. I felt like that was so calm and cheery, sing-songy. This is Christy.
It did feel a little different, but I was just so dang excited to get on here today. I don't know. I can't explain it. Maybe just it's like, yes, we're finally back in the routine, and I get to see your smiling face.
Yes. And it's Thirsty Thursday. We're recording on a Thursday, and it's early in the morning. Both Christy and I we've sweated it out this morning and worked out.
Yeah, we have.
It's been fun, and now we're ready to get into some podcasting.
Yes, I am totally ready. I do have a funny story for you, though.
Oh, good.
So it was my anniversary. Was it the 9th? So was that last week? Beginning of this week? Beginning of this week, Monday. Anyways, so we went out over the weekend before that and like celebrated and whatever. And we weren't really doing much anyways on that day. So I had just done my normal routine, was going, brought my youngest to his basketball. And during basketball, I go shopping and like run errands in that area. So I went to the pool store because I had to get some pool chemicals because I'm in the process of stabilizing all that stuff right now. And I had to get this stuff called muriatic acid, if that's even how you say it. I don't even know.
Okay.
Anyway, so I end up getting this box of 4. So it's a big, heavy box. And I'm carrying it in to the house. And Emery had gotten home from work while I was gone, whatever. And he looks down and he's like, muriatic acid? Acid? Why are you getting acid? Like, what? Is this where it starts? Are you going to murder me? Like, is that to like dissolve my body later?
Yep, we're just bringing it in. No big deal. Willy-nilly. Like, look at your fake boy.
It's for the pool, Emery.
Don't even have to hide it. We're just flaunting it.
Anyways, he had a rough day at work, so he had gone to lay down, and we were having friends come over that night. So when the people got there, I went up to the room and like he had a pillow over his face because he does that to like block out the light and whatever. I pick it up and I'm like, "Are you okay?" Well, he's like, "Yes, but can I just have 5 more minutes?" And we like chatted for just a couple minutes. And he's like, "Just need 5 more minutes." And I was like, "Okay." And I like shoved the pillow and he was like, "Oh God, here it goes. This is it." And I'm like, "Yep, the acid is the next step."
Emery's got jokes.
Oh, yeah. So on my anniversary, he thought I was going to murder him.
Yeah. It really is a part of our lives.
He's probably like, man, if anybody can do it, it's going to be her.
Tell you what, these husbands should be in her. We are all in here.
Yeah. Dissolve them, just throw them in the pool. I mean, nobody will ever find them.
Except for you just gave away on air your plan. Pillow, acid.
Cut this out.
We'll edit it out. Don't worry. I know nothing.
No. Anyway, so, yep. That's my life right now.
Yeah.
So anyway,
poor husbands.
I know, our poor husbands. So if you are interested in hearing an actual crime, I think I might have one for you.
Okay, good. Bring it to me.
Okay, so do you want to hear this?
I do want to hear it.
Okay, good. This is a local case for me, and weirdly, it's been on my list for a long time, and I'm just getting around to it because basically we have so many suggestions that turn out to be such good ones that I just choose them over the ones that are on my own list. So
this was picked by Christy.
Yes, it was picked by me, and it just took me a long time to get to it, but now that I have, it turns out that it's the 16th anniversary of the events that I'm about to tell you about 2 days ago. So when this is dropping today, 2 days ago was the 16th anniversary.
Whoa.
Of this. So it's crazy how like I had it on my list to do, and then, I waited so long, and now it's like it's relevant right now.
It's meant to be.
Yeah, it was meant to be. So this is the case of Amanda K. Jones. Do you know that name?
I don't know that name. I don't know how much that means, but.
Right, exactly, because you might recognize it as I talk about it. But anyway, it takes place in Jefferson County, Missouri. It's a county that's really just south of St. Louis. It's basically about 40-ish miles from where I live. And it's about 670 square miles and currently probably has about 250,000 people in it. But at the time, it was much smaller in like a rural area. She was born Amanda Probst to Hugh and Bertha Probst on October 7th, 1978. So she's my age, essentially.
Yes. Bertha.
Her appearance.
Something about the name Bertha.
Bertha and Hugh.
Well,
I don't know.
Hugh
I don't
is
know
cool, like Hefner.
Yeah, I know, but still, they're just very different names. So,
Yes.
her parents describe her as a compassionate, beautiful soul. She loves to help people, a family person, and was always willing to hang with her family. By the way, that compassionate, beautiful soul reminds me, I don't know if we posted this or if I just sent it to you, but like, if we've learned anything in the true crime, you say that, and it's like, you better watch out. It's all over for you.
If you're a kind, nice person who lights up a room, you're screwed.
Yep. Watch out.
Yep.
We better watch out then, Beth. Look at us. We light up the room.
Some may say.
Sorry. Yes, some. Her mom says that she was her best friend, and her dad said that when she was little, she was a total daddy's little girl. As an adult, she was the glue that held it all together. She would be the first one there to help. If there was an argument in the family, she would be the one to get everyone together and make things right. And at the age of 21, in 1999, she married Scott Jones. She got pregnant, but then they separated in 2000, so it was a pretty short-lived marriage, and officially divorced in 2002. In the meantime, they had their daughter, Hannah. Amanda and Scott share custody from what I can tell, but I'm thinking that Amanda had a majority of the custody, whatever. She had her most of the time, maybe like
primary
custody
custody
on weekends. Yeah, primary. I don't know if that's the case, honestly, but just the way the story goes, I feel like she does have her most of the time. Amanda is a loan administrator at a local bank, and she owns a home in Peevely, which I had never even heard of that. It's a teeny tiny little town down there. She is just doing fine as a single mother, and she even starts dating a bit. And in late 2004, she breaks it off with a man that she had been dating for a short time. And just after that, she attends a company Christmas party in December of 2004 at the Hillsborough Civic Center. And this is kind of like the hub of the county. There's fairgrounds there, there's weddings that they held there, and events like Christmas parties or whatever. And there she meets Brian Westfall, who's a member of the Hillsborough Civic Club, which, do you know what civic clubs are?
I don't think I do.
I didn't know what it was, so I had to look it up. But it's basically a non-profit organization that operates exclusively for civic, charitable, and educational purposes. So basically, they're there to improve the area and the neighborhood through volunteer work.
Oh,
so
sort of like a town council or something?
Kind of, but it's all volunteer.
Okay.
I don't know what a town council if you've got paid or whatever, but yeah, it's all volunteer. And so they're just trying to better the community. And so they had this civic center and this grounds that they all took care of volunteer-wise. So he's part of this. He doesn't work for them. He's part of this civic club.
That's nice.
So Brian is there working the party as part of his volunteer work. So because her company rented the area, he's there like working it. So the two chat for a bit throughout the night, and one thing leads to another, and she ends up going home with him.
Okay.
And her good friends say this is very out of character for her, but she had just ended this relationship, and who knows what was on her mind. And so anyway, nobody's judging her for this.
It's the holidays, and it just makes you a little extra jolly.
Yeah. So, it happens. So not long after this, Amanda finds out that she's pregnant.
Oh.
And at first, she's kind of unsure of who the father is because she had just ended that relationship, and then she has this one-night stand with Brian, so she doesn't really know. But as time goes on, she kind of narrows the timeline down, and when she goes to doctor's appointments, and then she's pretty sure that it's Brian's. So in February of 2005, she contacts Brian and asks to meet him at the Civic Center, since they really hadn't had any contact since.
Oh, really? They didn't continue any.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So she's quite nervous that she's got to tell this guy that she had a one-night stand with that he's going to be a father. So she brings her daughter with her to this. And when she informs Brian, he denies it. He's like, this isn't my kid, but offers to pay for an abortion. So this is kind of where I have a little bit of a question, because if he doesn't believe that it's his at all, then why would he offer, why would he offer to abort some other guy's baby if he doesn't believe? I don't know. I don't know if that's weird to you, but.
Well, yeah. I mean,
why would
you're
he
going to
care?
deny it. Well, he probably was like, this cannot be mine. But on the off chance that it is,
Right.
this would be a much cheaper way to deal with the problem, or a much,
Right. In my head, he's saying, like, that's him kind of saying, it's not, I'm not 100% sure it's not mine. I'm saying it's not, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to offer this.
Right.
But anyway. So she's like, Amanda refuses. She's like, I don't believe in that. I'm not going to do it. You're not going to hurt my baby. I'm totally fine raising this baby on my own if you want nothing to do with it. So fine. Done. Go our separate ways. See you later.
Cool.
So she goes on with life, finds out she's having a boy, prepares a nursery for him, and then she also decides that she's going to name him Hayden. She is very excited about this baby, and her family is around her and supporting her. As the birth of her son approaches, Amanda wants to give Brian one last chance to step up and be a presence in his life, so she reaches back out to him to talk to him about it. He calls her back on the morning of August 14th, 2005. So this is months, February to August. What's that?
Which,
6
by
months?
the way, is very fair of her. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Like, she reaches out. He says, it's not mine. And she's like, look, okay, I mean, this is my plan. This is my choice. This is what I'm going to do. You can be as involved or not as you want. And then months go by, and she's totally fine doing it by herself still, but she's still trying to let him man up. I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
She's being very reasonable and really, like, overly fair with him. She could really go after him for paternity and all kinds of stuff. So,
right. And because I'm sure she could prove it once the baby's born. Like, all they need is DNA. So,
exactly.
Anyway. So he calls her August 14, 2005. He asks if she will meet him again back at the Civic Center. After this call, she calls her parents and tells them that, oh my gosh, you won't believe it. Brian called me back and he actually wants to talk. And she's super happy about it. So she goes to church with her parents, because this is Sunday morning. This is what their routine was, with her family that morning. And after she sends Hannah, her daughter, home with Grandma and Grandpa, and she's like, Mommy's going to be back in a couple hours. See you soon. And after the break, we're going to find out if Amanda kept this promise to Hannah. All right. So Amanda was supposed to meet Brian at 1 p.m. and possibly go to lunch and talk. Her younger sister, Carrie, wanted to go with her, and she said that she was thinking it was she had a bad feeling, she will say in interviews, but she was also thinking that it was late in her pregnancy. Maybe it would be good for someone to be with you. You've had contractions over the last couple of weeks. You're just like, essentially weeks to days away from, or days to weeks away from giving birth. So why not somebody come with you? It's a hot day. Just have somebody back you up. And she had a bad feeling only because she thought, well, this is all of a sudden that he's all of a sudden deciding, okay, yeah, let's talk about this again. So she just kind of had a weird feeling. So, but Amanda's like, no, I need to do this on my own. Don't come with me.
Right.
So she left church, leaves Hannah with the parents, and that was the last contact and the last time anybody has ever seen Amanda. Well, not anybody.
Brian, I'm guessing.
Yes, because they do meet up, but this is the last time she sees her family. Around 3 p.m., Hugh, her dad, is kind of like, well, I guess things are going well since we haven't heard from Amanda. But about 30 minutes later, around 3:30, he's like, but I'm kind of worried about it now. Like, it's really weird that she hasn't called to say, hey, sorry, it's been a while, some sort of news or update from her. So they call her cell phone, which goes to voicemail. They call her house phone. They call her friends to see if anybody's heard from her. And then they go over to her house because they're thinking, well, maybe if it didn't go well and she was upset by Brian, maybe she went home just to kind of sit for a little bit and, be alone. But she's not there. So Amanda's mother then decides she's going to call Brian, but she's like, oh, I don't have his number. She just knows his name. So she looks in the phone book, which I mean,
Old
it's been a long time since I've
school.
looked in a phone book.
Yeah.
And she literally calls every Westfall that is in the book. And there's a lot of them, she said. And she calls every one of them. And the last one, of course, it has to be the last one that she gets to, a woman answers and she asks if Brian's there. And the woman's like, yep, hold on. It turns out this is Brian's mom. And Bertha's like, where's my daughter? As soon as he gets on the phone. And he's like, well, I don't know.
Bertha's coming for you, Brian.
Right. Yeah. Bertha's coming. Did she go into labor? He's like, I don't know. And her mom's just so upset that like ends up like not being able to even talk to him anymore. And the father takes the phone and is like, if anything happens to her, I'm going to hold you responsible. Fair enough.
Okay.
But while on the call, Brian tells them that they met at 1, went to lunch at a restaurant called Off the Hook, and then they came back and he brought her to her car and they parted ways. But then later on, he like calls them back or something later on in the day and is like, we didn't go to lunch, and that they only talked in the parking lot and they never made it to lunch. And so his story's changing.
Well, yeah, he thought that one through and was like, those restaurant people aren't going to corroborate my story that I was there. So I better revamp that.
Yeah.
Oopsie.
True. So true. So it's not long before the family calls the police. And later that day, the family finds Amanda's car abandoned in that Civic Center parking lot. The door was open, not completely ajar, but just slightly open. And her purse was in there, but there were no keys, no wallet, and no cell phone. Nothing
Okay.
was in there. So her purse, just her purse. That night, they got a written statement from Brian. The police get a written statement from Brian. And he then immediately hires a lawyer. And his statement states that they met at the Civic Center around 1 and talked for a bit, that she got a phone call at 1:15 and isn't on the phone long, which ends up being her former sister-in-law who was asking her questions about some party and what makeup she needed or something, but Amanda rushes her off the phone and kind of seems a bit frantic, as she says later on. During that meeting, Amanda asked if she could give the baby his last name, Brian's last name, and shows him a photo album that she's already started that has some pregnancy pictures in it and poems that she's found and whatnot. And he let her know that he still does not think that he's the baby's father. So I don't know why he had to meet her again to tell her this. So she gets upset clearly about this because I think she was hoping that he had turned a corner on this idea and whatever, and now he's just telling her the same thing. So she got upset, asks to use the bathroom, which he has to unlock for her because he's, working on these grounds. This is, again, his volunteer work. So he unlocks the door for her. She returns from the restroom and says she's not hungry anymore and just wants to go home. So by 2 a.m., he's heading back to the horse barn where he was volunteering that day and working.
Wait, 2 p.m. you mean?
Yes.
Okay, you said a.m.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2 p.m.
Okay.
So by 2 p.m., he's heading back, so just about an hour later, to go back and start working again on the horse barn, and she's apparently leaving. He leaves the grounds around 5:30 and states that he saw her still on the parking lot, sitting in her car, talking on the phone. That's
like
a total of
3.5 hours later?
Yes,
Weird.
after they stopped talking.
Okay.
Yeah. After he left, he went to a fire department to speak to a captain, which is verified by this captain. I don't know what he went there for, but he's just telling all the steps that he did. And his girlfriend came over for a bit after that and then leaves. And they also speak with the girlfriend, who was very cooperative at the time. And they had been dating for several years. They actually were even dating when he had his one-night stand with Amanda. And she knew nothing about that, though, until
She does now, Brian.
Right. Yes. So she knew nothing about the one-night stand and is upset. And apparently she still talks to police at the time. And she tells them that she had spoken to Brian the night before, and he had asked her to bring some Rubbermaid totes to his house the next evening. He boards her horses, apparently, and the ones that he had were no longer good, and he needed new ones for his horse trailer. So he asked girlfriend to bring them the next day. I don't know.
And he did this the night before he was meeting Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. He hadn't told Amanda he was meeting her because he called her the morning of.
Right.
I'm sure he had it in his head. But anyway. So She said she was at his house until about 8 or 8:30 that night. Never mentioned Amanda or their meeting. She never saw anybody else on the grounds, anything else suspicious. And at some point, his parents were also at the house, and they also say, we didn't see anything. Nobody was there. We didn't see him doing anything. So she leaves after she gives her statement, talks to Brian and confronts him about this, so-called relationship, and they reconcile.
Oh,
She's okay with it. She's like, oh, fine. It was in, back in December, whatever. Anyway.
And she might be pregnant, and she was like, okay.
Yeah, I'd be pretty pissed and not be able to get over that. But
yeah,
anyway.
well,
So not long after that, she lawyers up too.
Ooh.
With the same lawyer.
Weird. What does she need an attorney for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So as the police speak to other witnesses that were on the grounds that day of the Civic Center, one states that they saw Amanda's car as well in the parking lot at 4:30, but nobody was in it. Nobody was in the car, around the car, nothing. It was just there. And that these same people ran into Brian when they were getting there, and he seemed a little startled to see them. And he said that he was just loading things up to haul out, but they thought that was weird because there was nothing on his trailer at the time. And so, and he had said he was like hauling stuff on his trailer.
And he was supposed to be at the horse barn.
Right. Which they did see him at the horse barn.
Right.
And I don't know what he was loading up, but they said he was hauling stuff away. So anyway, they check her cell phone records, and Verizon confirms that she had gotten that 1:15 phone call, but no other calls were made to or from her phone after that. Which he said when he left, he saw her sitting in the car
on the phone.
And they're at 5:30. There was no other phone calls for that to her phone. They also find out that the air conditioning in Amanda's car is not working. So now the question becomes, how could an 8.5-month pregnant woman sit inside her car for hours in the middle of August in Missouri, which is miserable, I might add. It's ridiculously hot.
All of that
with
sounds
no
miserable.
AC.
8 months pregnant, hot, a car. It all sounds miserable.
Right. And from what we know about Amanda, I don't think she would just sit in her car for hours and not let her parents know or not go back and see Hannah.
Exactly.
Regardless of the situation. So, yeah, talk about it. Talk about it.
Yeah. You're lying.
Yeah, lying. So they search the grounds of the Civic Center. They look for blood in the bathroom. They bring cadaver dogs. They do grid searches. They use ground-penetrating radar, and the FBI comes in with aircraft to search.
Whoa. So they were very suspicious of our boy. Okay.
Brian.
Good.
Yeah. They look for disturbed earth, but there's a lot of construction going on this property at the time, so it's kind of hard, they're finding a lot of disturbed earth, and then they find out, well, it's just because of a construction project or whatever. They search her vehicle. They also keep surveillance. I always have a hard time saying that word. On the Civic Center to see if anybody comes back to the scene, to move anything, like a body or bury anything, whatnot. One of her friends even sat across the street from the Civic Center in his pickup for days. I mean, I think maybe he took breaks, but he literally was sitting on the outside of the pickup, and he painted, because he didn't know what else to do, on the side of his car, "Please help if you drove past here on Sunday." Literally stenciled with paint
what
on
a
the side
good
of him.
friend.
I know.
I would do
just
that for you.
I'd do it for
I
you
would
too.
paint my car for you.
Well, okay, yeah, I would. All right.
Well, I would
because I could always paint over it.
I would use some of that car chalk, that washes off.
Washable paint. Yeah.
I'd totally do that
thanks.
for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, because they're just looking for anybody that may have driven by, that may have seen something that day. So her family makes flyers, hang them everywhere around the town. Within 9 days of starting the investigation, they got 150 leads, but all of the leads go nowhere. It's just nothing happened. They looked into her ex-husband, Scott, but he's ruled out real quickly. There didn't seem to be a motive. They didn't have a tumultuous custody battle or anything. And he actually ends up taking custody of Hannah after Amanda's disappearance, but they rule him out. And actually he ends up dying, I think, 2 years after.
Oh, no.
This. I don't know
That's terrible.
I don't know of what. But yeah, he passed too.
Oh, poor Hannah.
So I know. the police would clearly like to search Brian's property because he's the last person to see him.
They need to look for some totes, plastic bins.
Yeah, no kidding. And his family owns hundreds of acres of land, apparently, which he lives on. Mm-hmm. And they have farmland, wooded areas, cattle areas, just lots of land that they're to cover, to search for her. But they're not able to get a warrant to search it because according to the FBI, you have to, in order to get a search warrant, you have to have evidence to establish that a crime has occurred in the area that you want to search.
Right.
And they had nothing, just that he was the last person to see her. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even on that property. It was somewhere else.
Right.
So they were able to search the civic center. So motive could factor into getting a search warrant, but it can't be the only thing that they use to determine getting that. So the only way they were able to search is to get a consent search. And that's when Brian says, you're allowed to come on my property, but he's also able to tell them where. They can and cannot search. And so that's what happens. They go and search, but only the areas that he's like, you can search there, and you can search there, and you can search there.
But definitely don't go in this area right here.
Right.
Whatever you
Not
do,
allowed.
You're not allowed. Goodness.
Let me mark all the areas with like white paint that you cannot search. Yeah, that's little suspect. Because if you have nothing to hide, then why can't you just say, yep, go ahead, search the entire place. It's fine. Go ahead, do it.
What do you have in that unmarked area there that we can't search?
Right, exactly.
Bins? Amanda?
Rubbermaid
what?
bins.
Ugh. What a loophole.
So, I know, exactly. They end up coming away with 18 pieces of evidence, which they never really specify what they walk away with, but nothing is ever connected to Amanda and her disappearance. And Brian is labeled as a person of interest, but he's never labeled a suspect in this case, but he's always been a person of interest. So basically, Amanda and Hayden have literally vanished without a trace.
Okay.
Into thin air. Nothing. Nobody knows what happened to them.
I'm getting so
years
nervous
go by.
that you're just going to be like, in the end. Oh, no.
14 years go by, and in May of 2019, a volunteer search group from North Carolina, actually, called the Q Center for Missing Persons. Yes. They come with 30 searchers, go back to the Civic Center, and bring cadaver dogs. And they come to search for remains in general. And they're not saying they're looking for Amanda.
Okay. Why did they do this randomly?
Well, because, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Just all of a sudden, it's a group that does do this randomly to help find people that are missing or that could be dead. And they bring their cadaver dogs. So they know that there's somebody that went missing there. They don't specifically say they're looking for Hannah, but they just go out there and looking. And if they find something, they find something. So
I feel like we should be a part of something like that.
I know.
That would be awesome. That's a great thing to do for families.
Right. I know. Exactly. Yeah. Should look them up. Q Center for Missing Persons. They are hoping to come up with something, but they don't. And in January of 2020, a giant electronic billboard has this missing persons picture of Amanda on it. And so this brings up the case again for the community. And this is actually how I found this case. So I was driving down the road, saw that billboard.
No way.
In January of 2020 and was like, oh, I want to look into that because that's a local case. So that's how long I've been sitting on this case, is since January.
Wow.
It's been a long time. Anyway, because she's still missing to this day. And it's right around the anniversary of her disappearance, which is weird that I had it in January and didn't do it until now. But anyway, so I hope that one day this family gets answers.
Oh my
Her parents do not
gosh.
think that she's alive anymore because, I mean, knowing the person that she is, she would have come home. She would have called. She would have done something if she was okay to reach out to them.
Well, and how did she even get anywhere 8 months pregnant with no car?
Right. Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
Something's happened to this poor woman and her baby. Oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah. It's just, and Hannah, who's now, I mean, I think the grandparents had custody of her after the father passed. So the parents, I mean, they just want closure to this. They don't think she's alive. They just want to know what happened. They said that not knowing is worse than knowing that she's dead. Like just the not knowing what happened at all. So they at least just want to know what happened. Brian clearly is a very suspicious guy, and my money is on him with his Rubbermaid tubs and hundreds of acres that cannot be searched, because he's never spoken to the media in all of these 16 years, and he's only given that one written statement the night that she disappeared, and has retained his lawyer along with his girlfriend for this entire 16 years. And I mean, her parents are like, he's just never going to talk. If he has a lawyer, he doesn't have to talk any more than he already has. And we're just never like, where can this go?
Oh
so
my gosh.
Just like stuck. And why? I don't know. The whole thing, he's just suspicious in general. Like, you keep a lawyer for 16 years on retainer.
Well, yes, exactly. And we know that when you are a pregnant woman, you are at most risk of being harmed or hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the number one cause of pregnant women in this country.
Yeah.
Of death. And it's murder. I mean, like, you're at huge risk. So, yes, my money is on that man.
I know. He's super, super sketchy. But they won't name him as a suspect, so they just
And of course he's not going to talk.
an eye on
He's been living his life for 16 years.
Right. Yeah. I know. Yeah. I'm mad at him.
Yeah.
I was literally mad at him.
I'm mad at the whole thing. Yeah, it's so sad. Oh my gosh. That is
She was such a cute little lady too. Like, well, not little. She was 5'8", so she wasn't short or anything. I have the description of her, and I mean, clearly it's probably irrelevant now, but she was 5'8" inches tall, weighed 225 pounds. She's a bigger lady. Has brown hair with blonde highlights and blue eyes. She loved the color pink. Literally that day, she goes to meet him. She has pink sleeveless, like tank top kind of thing on, a pink white flowered skirt, pink sandals, and she was also had a pink purse that day. She was like all decked out in her pink.
like Elle Woods.
Right.
How cute. Oh, bless her heart. Her poor family. Her poor dog. I mean, like, oh my gosh, that poor little girl. I cannot imagine. Can you imagine? I can't imagine if it was my daughter. Can't imagine if it was my mother.
Yeah.
My friend.
She's an adult now.
Yeah, well,
I
yeah.
think she was 4 when this happened. So, I mean, she's 20.
She went her whole life without her mama. Mm-hmm. Bless her heart. Oh, we need to find justice for Hannah.
Yes. Yes.
So that and for those parents. Mm-hmm. So if you have any information on the disappearance of, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to pitch it.
Call Hugh and Bertha.
Yes. They're in the phone book.
Yeah, yes, they are.
Did you take a picture of the billboard?
I didn't, because it was like so quick. We were driving, and I saw it, and I like barely got her name off the.
I bet you can
billboard.
Google the billboard. I don't know.
Oh yeah, there's pictures.
Oh, okay.
There's pictures of it. Yeah, because it was on the news that this old case is being revived by this electronic billboard, and anyway, so it's out there.
Tell you what, these unsolved cases will get me all day.
Mm-hmm. I know. I hate them. But
I
keep
like
doing
them, but I think they're disturbing. It's just, they're more heartbreaking.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to or maybe I was watching a show or something about a family member. It was a family member talking about how their loved one had gone missing, and they suspected that they were dead, and they didn't know for sure. And it's been years and years. And they were saying that, when a person dies, you have a grave, you have a memorial, you have ashes, you have something that you can go to or, physically be present at to mourn that person. And all they have is a billboard, a missing person's poster. That's all they have to go to. And so they will go to that missing person's billboard and decorate it and remember that person. But it's like, what a heartbreaking thing. I can't imagine.
Yeah. I know.
All right. Well, happy Monday.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back, right? Because this isn't welcoming back. We've been back for a while. Sorry.
We've been back.
See, I'm so off with.
I know, but we are getting close to Serial Killer September.
Yes,
and we know y'all are excited about that. So deep, deep in research with the serial killers, which always gives us the nightmares. Whew, tell ya.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing. So stick with us. We hope you like what you hear. Reach out. We love hearing from you guys. So keep that coming. It's a great part of what we do. And find us on social media so you can see pictures of cute Amanda. And maybe if you know something, you never know. You just never know. So any tip matters. So let's keep her alive, metaphorically, and keep her case alive, I guess is what I mean. And always remember, the world is scary. People suck. Hide in your closet.